What is up? It is your girl Forever Key, and today we are making some beef stew. I'm just gonna jump right into it. We ain't gonna talk about this long. We're gonna make this a quick and simple video, okay? So first, we are going to be showing the ingredients. I have some carrots. You can put as many vegetables as you want, but I just wanted to do some carrots. You are going to do a 1 cup of onions. So, which for me, I got the big onions, and that was just half of that. Potatoes, of course. You can do yellow potatoes as well, or any type of potatoes that you want. Beef broth to make the stew. Some fire roasted diced tomatoes. Please make sure y'all get this. Like, this is a very key ingredient. Some minced garlic, in my opinion. Get a garlic clove. They taste way better. And then get some one anana sauce. I don't know how to say that, and I'm not gonna over here act like I do. So to put up in the stew, we have some oregano leaves, and we are gonna also season this with the beef as well. Got some garlic and herb seasoning. Oh my gosh, y'all, I'm obsessed with that seasoning. Of course, some garlic powder. And then I didn't show it, but I also added some black pepper and then some salt as well. Oh, there we go. Hey, girl. Okay, look at you getting the job done. Period. And then just adding the Worcestershire sauce to just give the beef a little bit more flavor. So once you're done mixing that in, we're going to toss this up in some flour. And the reason why we're tossing this up in flour too is because with this being a beef stew, beef takes a long time to cook in the stew. So we're just going to fry it up a little bit just to let it cook so the beef can cook a little faster once it go up in the stew. So, and make sure you're doing a light toss with this. Like, you don't want to overdo it, because if you overdo it, you're basically going to be having some fried steak. And you don't want that. You just want to be sure to cook it just a little bit. So, that's it. That's freaking all. So once you are also done with that, you're just gonna get your pot. You can make this like a 1 pot situation. If not, get a skillet, of course. And then you're just gonna start tossing and just start, getting that to be a little bit of cooked. You just do it lightly on each side. I can honestly say on each side, I was possibly doing probably like a minute or 2 minutes each. Like I said, you don't want to fully cook this, because if you cook it too much, your beef is going to become really like overdone, and then when you put it in the stew, it's not going to have as much flavor, and it's not going to be as nice and just tender as you would want it to be. Okay, you don't want this to be too tough, so just be careful. So once I was done, I just wanted to show y'all, like, this is kind of like what I want it to look like. Like I said, it's still pink. You don't want to still cook it. That's kind of the of what I'm going for it. But if you want to keep going, keep going. So once I'm done, now you're going to saute your onions. I kind of dumped some of the oil out because it was way too much oil, and I just wanted my onions to have like a light crispiness, okay? And you're just going to toss that around with the same pot. As you can see, that is still some of the flour that has kind of turned into a roux. Then you're going to add in your carrots. You just want your carrots to get a little bit soft, because if you know carrots, they are very, very extremely hard. And you just want this to have a little bit of flavor. So you're just going to keep tossing and twirling that thing, okay? So once you're done, it's going to look like this. What you guys didn't see, and I don't know why I didn't get the part, but I added in the minced garlic on this part. So add in your garlic right away. So once you're done letting it sizzle, letting it cook for a bit, you're going to start adding in your beef broth. Now, when I cook this in a crock pot, I normally do 4 cups of it. But since I was making such a big pan, I end up using both of the beef broth quarts that I had, okay? So you just have to know your portions. You just have to know how much you're cooking for everybody. But if you're just cooking for yourself, 4 cups is really all that you need. And then once you're doing that, just give it like a little light stir, so you can just get all of the onions that probably stick to the bottom to come a little bit up. So once that is starting to sizzle a little bit, we are going to start adding in our other ingredients, which is our potatoes. I did about 4 potatoes. I cut them up to cube-like pieces. You can cut them as big as you want. You can cut them as small as you want. I did cube-like pieces this big because we're going to be cooking this for about 2 hours. And if you do a little bit of small pieces of potatoes, they can cook too fast, and you don't want them to be as mushy. But if you like your potatoes to be really, really soft, then I say let the broth cook for an hour, then add in your potatoes. So with me, I just added it on because I already knew my potato pieces were a little bit big. And this is when I realized that the broth that I had with the 4 cups wasn't working. So I just added this on to make it extra. And that's when I realized, like, okay, this is enough broth for me, because I want mine to be a stew. If you want yours to be more like a soup, You can also do this as well, but with all of the ingredients that I'm adding, it was so much stuff. So I had to add in a little bit more to make up for that. Okay. And then as you can see, I'm just stirring it to give it a light stir, like I said, because a lot of these ingredients can fall to the bottom. So you just want to be careful of that, because if it falls to the bottom, it's going to get a little burnt. Then once you're done adding those potatoes, you're going to immediately add in your beef. Like I said, you want this to be really quick and go on process, because this has to sit for 2 hours, y'all, okay? So next, once I'm done, I'm just adding in everything bit by bit. Now I'm adding my fire roasted tomatoes. I love this. It gives the stew a little bit of a tomato taste, but it's not as powerful. But I feel like beef stew with tomatoes is very, very, very good to me. So you just want to, add this. You don't have to, but me personally, you can. Or you can use tomato paste if you don't like tomato chunks in there. So now I'm just letting it sit for a little bit, and now I'm just going to add the rest of my seasonings. I am a person that season as I go, so the season we use in the beginning, such as the salt, the black pepper, the oregano, and then the garlic and herb seasoning. I'm just seasoning a little bit as I go. Then once I let it sit, I'm going to season it again, because as you start to cook this broth, it gets a little bit more thick and the tastes can change. So once I'm done stirring it, like I said, I'm going to put the top of my pot on, and I'm going to let this sit for literally 2 hours. You can do 2 hours or 2.5 hours on medium heat. Do not do high heat, because your potatoes can come out too soft and your steak can get too well overdone. You want this to just be a little simple flavor. And if you do this in a crock pot, I prefer for you to cook it on for 5.5 hours, okay? I just did it on top of the stove because it was easier for me and I was just ready to eat it, okay? So after the 2.5 hours was done, this is what it looked like, and it was so delicious. Like, y'all, like, look at that stir. And if it does not come as with that thick consistency, you can add in water and mix it in with some flour and just kind of stir it up in there to make it get that stew like flavor. But just be careful and make sure you consistently stew it. But I didn't have to do that. It was already on 10 for me. And like I said, even if you don't like that consistency, still keep cooking it. And y'all, I just added some rice with it, and it was so delicious. Oh my gosh, I was in heaven, you guys. So if you like this video, please always like, comment, share, and subscribe. Other recipes you would like for me to show. These are my social media pages. You can inbox me. I'm always free and always able to give advice when I need to. And I hope this recipe works out for you. And if it didn't, leave some tips on things that I can improve. It is your girl Forever Key, and I am heading out. Thanks. Bye.